And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Holy hell, has it been a week of fighting from ONE FC to the PFL to the UFC, and with all of the things happening in between, we are lucky enough to have a new edition of the Weighing In podcast. Welcome, everyone. I hope you will enjoy it because we got a lot to talk about. Joshua Thompson, you are in Las Vegas where there was fights tonight, and it's hot tonight. So talk to me. Are you going to sweat through this one, or are you keeping cool?
Well, I had to turn the AC off in here because the AC is so loud in my room that we don't want to hit that noise. So, but it's 101 degrees here, I believe is what it said when I got off the airplane around 7 o'clock because my flight was 2 hours delayed. And you guys are probably having to deal through like a little bit of an echo, and I apologize, but this is the best we could do in a hotel setup. I'd love to actually post a picture of what we're doing right here. I've got a lamp laying down on its side, so I get a little more light on my face. I've got the microphone set up. This is the first time that we've that I've actually had a full setup. I know we did it like a couple weeks back when I was in Tahoe, but I know we did it was a makeshift like one, and we had the Zoom and this and that. But this time we've got the full setup with our all of our real audio stuff, and it's what a pain in the ass it is to set up, John. I just want to set it up and just leave it that way. It was a pain. All right, well, let's get into it, man. Let's talk about these fights. I mean, like, look, one, what did you think of one? Let's talk. I want to go. Listen, you want to talk about Eddie right off the bat, or because it was probably, to me, it was one of the biggest barn burners of the weekend. Obviously, what did you think?
Going in, I knew that Yoon is very good. He's really long and he's very good, and he wears his opponents out by them trying to take him down, and they can't, or he pops on. They take him to the ground, he pops right back up. So I knew it was going to be a tough fight for Eddie. I would have thought that Eddie was going to win the fight. Overall, I thought just the more experience. But, Yoon looked great. Eddie looked great. It was a great fight. Eddie got rocked in that first round, and it happens almost in every Eddie Alvarez fight, man. There's a certain point, usually in the beginning, he gets hit, he gets rocked, he survives, and he comes on and fights well throughout the rest of the fight. That happened. I thought the length and the size of Yoon, as far as his height, caused Eddie a little bit of problems in there. He was lunging in a lot of lunging attacks going after him, then trying to get into the takedowns. He was definitely in shape. You figure that he had that fight, that ended up being now a no contest, and he came back very fast, like 3 weeks later. But obviously he was in shape for that first. He kept that fitness up, which is not always easy to do because you hit those peaks and those valleys. Even though you've been training, you're trying to peak for that fight. But he came out, put on a hell of a performance. One judges the fight on a whole fight basis, and so they give a lot of credit to that one portion where, Yoon ended up hurting Eddie and putting him down. Eddie won more minutes of the fight. Yoon won the bigger elements of the fight, so he ended up getting the decision. But it was a great fight. It really was. Back and forth. I thought Eddie fought, just a tough-ass fight. I thought Yoon looked great, did exactly what he does with, just about every opponent. So it was definitely the best fight that I think I've seen out of ONE FC so far on their TNT stint.
Yeah, I would say definitely probably one of the best fights I've seen on their TNT stint so far. The thing with Eddie, though, is, like you said, he always takes shots, and he'll take a shot and he'll get dropped, but he always finds a way to come back and get the win. And whether it was, I know he didn't get the win this time around, but then it really just comes down to, like how you said, how they judge the fight, who did the most damage. They judge the fight in the entirety. I think what they really judged it based off of was the fact that he never really got solid takedowns, and he spent a lot of time trying to get them and never got them.
Yeah, I mean, you just look. When someone's going for a takedown, as long as they're working for it, it's an even stint in the fight for me. Yeah. And there was times when Yoon was cracking him with elbows, coming off to the side, hitting him to the head with elbows. You saw Eddie adjust. And there was a shift in the fight when you saw Eddie finally taking his head and putting it in a different position on the takedown attempts, using his head to steer, the head of Yoon to give him some problems with it. He would then shoot back down. He got the takedowns, but I thought Rich Franklin calls it right. That's not a takedown. His butt hits the ground and he's popping right back up. It's just a change of position. And so, with the way that one does, they're judging as far as you're judging the 15 minutes as a whole, and they give a lot of priority to damage, which is the right way to look at a fight, even though you can do it even with the round system. I had no problem with Yoon winning. Obviously, I was kind of rooting for Eddie, but it was just a good, solid fight by both guys.
Yeah, I just want to see Eddie get a good, solid win though over there. That's my thing. He's been hurt. He's been damaged. He's put on some good fights, but he just hasn't come out on the winning end yet. You know what I mean? The one win in the middle there, I believe, right?
Yeah, he had the win against.
He had a win after he lost to Nasukin. He had a win in the middle there. Who was he against?
Yeah, he lost to Timothy. Then he beat Edward Full-Young.
Full-Young, yeah. So so I want to see him get. I want to see him get the wins. Honestly, I love watching Eddie fight. I love everything about watching him fight. He's a little, he just takes shots, and that's what scares me because he goes down all the time. And I know he fights his way back.
He does,
and he's a fucking dog. That's really
no
what it comes down to. He's a dog.
He's a junkyard dog, man.
Yeah, and speaking of Full-Young, he fought also against Shinya Aoki, and
armbarred.
Yeah, and Shinya just looked nasty good on top. Once he got to the top position, it was all over. It was just.
But you knew that if that fight hit the ground, you go, look, that's Shinya's world, and Timothy is not. Edward is not great on the ground. He's a tough stand-up guy, but he's not. He doesn't have the ground game to stay with Shinya. But Shinya doesn't have the chin to stay with Edward in the stand-up. So you knew if that fight stayed in the stand-up, Edward's going to win. If it goes to the ground, Shinya is going to win. It went to the ground, and that's why Shinya got it to his world. That's the way of MMA.
Yeah, very true. Okay, well, let's talk about the main event first because we want to get into a little bit of the drama into the other fight that's on there. But Ong Nasong from Sanford MMA out there with Henry Hoof and those guys, he just couldn't stuff a takedown.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you. Well, first off, let's give credit where credit is due. And De Ridder was fantastic because he was in shape. He had some beautiful transitions, Josh. You have to take a look at what he was doing on the ground at times. It was just poetry in motion at times when he was allowing, Ong Lasong to move within him, and he was letting him flow, and he was trapping him where he wanted. He just couldn't get that submission to work, which just goes to the credit of what, Song was doing as far as his training and getting ready for him. But that's his second loss in a row to him. It went to 5 rounds, but no doubt that, Ranier De Ridder, he won that. That's 2 titles in one. He looked fantastic. Now he's calling out Brandon Vera. I'll tell you what, if he gets Brandon to the ground, Brandon's in a world of hurt. That sumbitch can roll. Now,
yeah,
Brandon's
got a fight coming up though. Yeah, Brandon Vera's got a fight coming up though as well. So he's defending his title here shortly. But with all along, he just needs to. I'm surprised out of that camp that he was not able to stuff a couple of those takedowns. From the beginning of the fight, he was struggling the whole time to stuff takedowns.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. If you were going to say something about De Ridder, his wrestling is not really that good. His level change is not sharp. Now, once he gets into the clinch, that's different. But when he was taking, some of his shots from the outside, he's bending at the waist and his legs are straight, and it's like, oh, that's ugly. But he got in there and he got it done. So, a
little bit of that Ben Askren, like once Ben locks his fingers, he's getting the take.
Yep.
It was kind of like that. It was like it didn't look good getting in, but once he got in, it was able to get the finish.
Once he got in, it was like, holy shit, he's Velcro. You can't get him off.
Well, De Ridder coming up from 185, being the champ at 185, now being the 205-pound champ, now talking about fighting at heavyweight. It lets you know, the kid's obviously very good, and he's very confident in his abilities. But, with Brandon Vera, they feel like Brandon's really good on the ground, though. And, he's good on the ground. He's good off of his back. He's got good top control, but he likes to stand. He likes to use his kicks. Brandon Vera does. So if Ridder can get him down and put some work on him, Brandon does tend to slow down, though, as the fight goes on.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now. I've known Brandon a long time. De Ritter has got a ground game that very few guys are going to be able to stay with him. That his jiu-jitsu is fucking legit.
You know who he reminds me of?
Good. Who's that?
John Salter.
Yeah, very much.
Reminds me
Very
of John
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a different style of jiu-jitsu. It's got, just a little variance that is his flair, the way he does it. But, he dominated that fight. And he dominated against a guy that I thought is a very good fighter. Yeah, he's got a lot of losses, and I know that. But he's a tough dude, and he fights. Yeah. And he fought his ass off in it. He just, for the most part, just got manhandled by a guy on the ground that just was a step above.
Got it. All right, well, let's get into a little bit of the drama that happened on one.
All right, let's do it.
Kane versus Grushenko.
Yeah.
When you
Rug.
I was just, it went through my mind was LeBron James and soccer players. that's all that went through my mind. It was unbelievable to watch. I'd never seen anything like this happen in our sport before.
Josh, are you saying that he faked it?
No, I'm not saying he faked it. I'm saying that he flopped. In other words, not only did he fake it, he fucking faked it. He flopped so bad. It was so embarrassing to watch.
Okay, why do you,
it was in your opinion, throw a man do that.
In your opinion, why would he do that though?
Because he's weak-minded.
Okay. Because he's getting beat?
Yeah, he's weak-minded.
Tired?
Even if he wasn't being beat, like it doesn't matter. You never do that. I don't understand it. Like in fighting, why would you, like if you're supposed to be a fighter, why would you do that? Like I've never met a fighter that has done that. I know fighters have taken they've taken a cup shot and taken the way out. I mean, let's talk about Aljo. Aljo took a solid knee. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, no doubt about
it. And we could talk about it all day long. This guy didn't even get hit. Grabbed his throat and fell to the ground. Fight was over. Done.
Well, he got hit.
No, the replay showed it didn't hit him. It missed him.
Not at all?
No,
it
not at
touched him.
all. It didn't even touch him. He fucking grabbed his throat like he got hit in the throat. It didn't even hit him. He flops on the ground. That was it in a fight. Do these people forget that we have replay?
Here was the question, because I had everyone blowing me up. It's like, hey, why did they give the guy the fight the win? It's like, what are you doing? And I go, oh, because the referee named Olivier Coste did the right thing. Way to go, Olivier. Congratulations. Someone that gets it right, man. You have somebody. It's at the end of the bell. All right. Those guys both threw, Josh. Both of them threw at exactly the same time. All right. You can't expect that the fighter is going to be able to stop when the bell goes off.
No.
They're throwing. The referee is supposed to come in between them. That's what gives them that signal that the round's over. So the actual punch, whether it landed or not, is legal.
Yeah.
It's a legal shot. Second, people are saying you can't hit the throat. Bullshit. Happens all the fucking time. What you can't do is expose the throat. I can't have you, we'll say, up against the cage or on the ground and take and push your chin away to open up the throat and then attack it. That's what's illegal.
See, I didn't know that.
In the stand-up, if you guys are in the stand-up and we're winging and one of your punches hits me to the throat, too fucking bad, that's a legal shot.
Wow.
That is not what the rule covers. So both the punch being thrown and where it supposedly land, both were legal. And when, Rug or Omar Khan ends up going down to the ground, doesn't matter that it's the end of the round. You can't get up. That fight's over. TKO victory for Kirill. Very nice job. The referee did it right.
I was just thinking 5 minutes or if a recovery time, whatever it was.
Why? There was no foul.
No, I'm saying that I always thought the rule was because you're not allowed to strike to the throat. So
you're not allowed to expose the throat to strike at it.
Well, that's what you just clarified that for me.
There you go. That's what I'm here for, brother.
Clarification.
It's all about the clarification.
All right. Well, that was on Wednesday night. That was on Wednesday night for TN from ONE FC. And then PFL was on Thursday night this time instead of Friday night like it was the week before.
Sir.
What do you think? What was your take?
Well, I was disappointed that a lot of the fights that were supposed to happen didn't happen. That was one of the things.
Yeah.
Which, that's not the PFL's fault that happens. That's just fighting.
We're going through that right now with Bellator.
Hell yes, baby. But, there was a couple of fights in there that I thought were not, nice as far as the display. I thought Cesar Ferreira, goddamn, big time knockout. That was a nice, quick fight for him. I thought that the submission by, I know it's Shoeface. I think I said Horseface last time. Big air, but it's Shoeface. I hate that name. It's just bad because he's a nice guy. But Antonio Carlos Jr., by being able to get the guillotine choke on Tom Lawler. Tom's a tough veteran, but slowing down. But that's a good win for him coming in there. I thought that Kamosi against Sorty was really a good fight. Sorty started to have problems in a certain part of it, but he got the win by decision. Ray Cooper looked freaking
like an animal.
Vicious. Just vicious. He's strong. He just dominated him as far as just this the way he got that submission was nice job, but he just like, here, do anything you want to stop this. You're not going to be able to. And he just folded him where he wanted, squeezed. I was like, just showed that he was just physically stronger. So
yeah, Ray is just a fucking animal, man.
He is.
He's just an animal. Like his dad was a savage, but his dad didn't have any submissions.
No.
So that's the thing with Ray, though. He'll knock you out, and now we're seeing like he's developing his ground game as well.
That's good. Makes him scary.
But realistically, like I want to get into right away to Rory McDonald. To me, it was very impressive what he did, and not only what he did was the fact that, like, look, it's very hard to make your appearance in a new promotion, and with all the hype around it, being the main event, and sure, he's fought on the biggest stages all around the world. That's not what I'm trying to get at. If you guys have not left from one promotion to the next, especially from one big promotion to the next big promotion to the next big promotion, there's a lot of pressure that goes along with every contract you sign. I've said this over and over again. The more money you get paid, normally he's probably making really good money going to PFL now that he left Bellator and then he left UFC. He's probably gotten paid more from leaving from UFC, then he got paid more to go to Bellator. Then he left Bellator, and he probably got paid more to go to PFL. He's getting paid more to go from promotion to promotion. And there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that. It doesn't wilt him at all. He just sticks with what he knows, and he knows he's good at what he can do. And he fought a very similar fight that he fought Paul Daly.
Absolutely.
And why would I go out there and stand and bang with you when I don't need to? Let's get this over with and get you in and out of here. I thought it was a very smart fight. We had talked about this last week, or our last show, about his fight IQ. And it's just, he's brilliant. There's times where he's got big balls on him and he just gets into it, but there's also times where he is the other way, where he does this. And I think if he continues to do this against certain people, like, he's going to have his work cut out for him when he fights Ray Cooper.
Yeah.
Because Ray's
takedown's not going to come that easy.
Yeah, takedown's not going to come, and Ray Cooper's got the power, man. He's got them dogs. Everyone's talking about in the comment sections. They love that I was saying dogs again. Yeah, he's got them dogs in them hands, man, Ray Cooper does. So we've seen Ray Cooper finish what? Jake Shields couldn't get a takedown, got just demolished, from Ray Cooper's power. I mean, Rory he's suspect not in terms of his chin, but his nose. His nose is just not the same. I think he's got a plastic piece in there that holds his bridge together. And so it gets displaced every time he gets hit. I could be wrong, but I'd heard that he had like a fake, like a plastic piece that gets put in there to hold his bridge together.
Well, you got to figure, if one thing you're looking at is two of his biggest fights, and the one that was the second one being, one of the best fights of all time. Ray Cooper very much is like a Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
Time power, hard to take down, tough as hell, doesn't stop, just sticks with what he does. So he's got Robbie Lawler standing there coming his way. So
yeah,
I do think that, and we said it when we talked about, just the matchup going in. Look, Rory's got a huge advantage on the ground. He takes the fight to the ground. he's going to win that fight. If he stands up, Curtis has a chance of, winning that fight. Why are you going to be stupid? Just like you said, fight IQ. And it was the exact, almost remake of the Paul Daly fight, when he went out there and he just took Paul. Why are you going to stand with Paul Daly? That's a stupid thing to do. The man's got power. He can strike. Take him to the ground. He took Paul to the ground, got him out of there with a rear naked choke pretty easy. Didn't take any damage. That's smart fighting, and that's what he did with Curtis Millender. So, I got to give credit.
I don't think Rory even looked back at the Paul Daly fight probably for this thing. I think he looked at the Sabah Hamasi fight and was like, hey, Sabah was tired, was able to get takedowns on him and handle him on the ground, or at least control the position. What do you think I'm going to do to him? I mean, that's what if I was Rory McDonald, I was looking at a game plan. I would have looked at Sabah Hamasi's game plan. Because Sabah Hamasi, sure, he's got powerful takedowns, but they're not great. They're not technically sound. Like, he power doubled a couple times. He tackles you basically and gets you down. He's strong as hell. Sabah Hamasi is,
and he's athletic.
Yeah, he's very athletic. And when he got on top, he was able to do some work. He was able to control the position. Millender had no way of getting up in that fight. Rory McDonald is a different level in terms of on the ground, in terms of control, submission positions, and we saw that against Paul Daly, and we saw it again here against Curtis Millender. But I thought it was a great fight. The fights were a little, they were okay.
Yeah.
They were okay. But let's see. What do you think about the UFC tonight?
I actually thought, for the most part, there was some really good fights. The first fight of the night started it off. They were banging, and then there was the, goddamn. You talk about Kai, fight.
I missed.
You didn't see it?
No.
All right.
My internet went out on the airplane. I was trying to come over, and my internet went out on the airplane.
I do not agree with the decision they had, but it may be because I was rooting for Kai, and I wanted to see him win, so I'm not going to sit there. I'm having someone else watch it to see what they thought, because, one of the judges had it 30-27 for Kai, and the other two went 29-28 against him. I thought that he had won the fight. I thought he won it 29-28, but, it was but you would have been extremely proud of the way that he fought. Super smart, just stay composed throughout the fight. It was a great fight. TJ was tough as hell. He gave it everything he had. Kai was giving it everything he had. There was, in the first round, he's looking great, just fighting beautifully, and then ends up getting hit with a shot that hurts him, then comes back and basically, puts TJ down with a shot. So just overall, great fight back and forth. They were talking, in fact, Paul Felder was talking about, that's fight of the year already. It might be, man. It was good. It was a great fight.
Good. I'm gonna have to actually tune in and watch. I'm gonna go back and try to watch it. Then when I get back home, and I'll talk about it more.
Well,
I ripped into him a lot after his last fight, just saying like, hey, you got to perform, man. There's no doubt he has all that athletic ability to get there and to be like a top contender. I'm not gonna say, like a lot of people like to say, he'll be a champion. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say that he has the ability to get to the top contender position. So the thing is, he's just got to believe in himself and throw it. So I'm going to go back and watch it and make sure that I have something to say, when we film in the middle of the week next week.
Well, I'm telling you right now, he fought so much better, so much smarter. Good. He was composed. I give him credit for the fight that he had. I give his coaches from Extreme Couture, Eric Nipsick, you did a great job with him. He fought beautifully. I think he won the fight. I thought TJ fought a really tough fight. I don't want to take anything from him. Fantastic job. Big heart. Kai Kamaka won that fight.
Okay. I believe you. I mean, who am I to argue with the guy who wrote the rules?
I hate seeing a guy fight his ass off like that, and I don't want either of them to lose. So you look at it, and there was one fight earlier where it ended up being a draw based upon Ian Cutelaba and Dustin Jacoby. And it's like, there's, Bisping says something, that's horrible. You never want to go. Of course you don't want to come away with a draw, but you don't want to come away with a loss either. And neither guy really deserved to lose. It was a tough fight.
I'm sorry, but the fight to me that really stuck out was the Cody Stamann fight. So Stamann and
against Merab.
Yeah, Merab. That was a great fight. But Cody just didn't have he just couldn't. It seemed like Merab was always 1 or 2 steps ahead. Every time Cody did something, like, don't get me wrong, Cody had his moments.
Oh, sure.
Cody Stamann had his moments. He was landing some clean shots. He just was never able to really get 1 or 2 steps ahead of Merab. Merab was always he already had the answer before Cody was getting there.
Merab hit some beautiful takedowns in that.
Oh, it's nice.
Just beautifully done.
Well,
and his pace is just you got to look and go. I tell you what, he holds a lot of muscle for a bantamweight.
It reminds me of Sean Shirk.
Man, Sean Shirk was 155, and his build is very much like Sean's was.
Yep.
But man, I'll tell you what, he's got a fucking gas tank too. He goes and goes. The dude is tough as nails. He's got a freaking gas tank. His stand-up has gotten so much better because he was landing some clean shots at times, and he's looking good. He called out, some people. It's all right. I think, he's there. He definitely belongs in the top 10 in my opinion.
Oh, of course. Let's talk a little bit about the Cutelaba thing that happened at weigh-ins. Mr. Dana White giving Sean a big fucking headache about all this shit that happened the week before. But
Jeremy Stevens.
Dana, where were you at, buddy? Where were you at? Why don't you just jump in there?
Isn't that your job to be able to read those things before and know? I don't want
Mr. Dana White. Where you at?
I don't want to put Dana on blast or throw shade, but it was just, man, this is where you open your mouth and it just bites you in the ass. And I was like, that's what happens, man, because you can't tell.
No.
You never know what's going to happen, and it's impossible. Yeah, you can sit there and if you know there's heat, you can try to be in the middle. Anything can happen in that. That's the fight. It's on the fighter. It's not on the guy that's standing there, be it Dana or Sean or Rich Chow or Scott Coker or Ray Seffel. Man, there's nothing you can do because you don't want to put your hands on them before, and it is for the media and it is for the fans. What are you gonna do?
I wouldn't do that shit if Ray Seffel was standing between me. Fuck no. Ray'd fuck both of us up. Because remember, I'm fighting guys at 155. Ray'd fuck both of us up.
Dude.
Funny. I mean, it's just funny because it just so happened that here it is like a week later, and it happened to Dana. It was just funny to see, and I know you and I were talking about it before.
Exactly. You look and you go, well, as soon as he said it, and he said, Sean Shelby should have been. I was like, come on, Dana.
Have you seen Sean Shelby the size of Sean
Dude,
Shelby?
I know Sean.
He's like 150 soaking wet.
I was like,
oh, jeez. Did you see Dana take a big, deep breath after that?
Because he knew.
Oh, he took a deep
breath.
He scared himself.
And he just looked like, shit. I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
Be careful, man. Karma. It comes back and it bites you fast.
I will say this guy named Giga.
Oh, yeah. Chikadze?
Oh, man. Giga is on point. You beat someone like Cub Swanson. You do it like that. You're talking. You're getting up into close next in line.
Look, Giga was great when he was at Glory Kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
He is sniper sharp, man, and he's got power. People look at him because he's kind of, he's real thin.
That's
he's
exactly
long.
what I thought.
He is your long, lanky guy, but he's got, like no chest. It's almost sunken in. Man, he's got power. I've seen him hit guys and they go, oh, doink, and his kicks are fast. The whole question with his, coming into MMA as well, how's he going to do with his wrestling defense and his ability to defend himself on the ground? And he's done great. And come on, people, if you've never been kicked to the liver like what happened to Cub Swanson, you don't know, and I don't want you to have to know because it sucks. And it's not, it's just you feel it and you think, ow, that hurt, and that's what's going through your mind, and then all of a sudden your body starts just seizing and you can't control your ability to just fold in, man. It's so rare to watch a guy be able to hold on to that. And so anybody's going to fold when they get hit like that.
It's that position of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't decapitate you.
No, it debilitates you.
Debilitates. God, get it out. Debilitates. There you go. Anyways.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, big words.
I'm not talking about the words being horrible. The pain of that liver shot is horrible.
So I've been told a long time ago by a French kickboxer who's like a Savate world champion anyways, and he had said, like, if you get kicked to the liver, you got to fight, like, just throw as many punches as you can at that moment, because that's what's helping you get your wind back.
Yeah,
I don't know how true that is, because every time I ever got kicked to the liver, I went right to my knees.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Brutal. I don't know if you could just keep punching through that shit, but, it was horrible, man. I'll take his word for it. He was a world champion in kickboxing.
I'll tell you what, he's a better person. I could stay on my feet, but I can't.
No.
I can't throw.
No.
You can't. It's horrible. So
No, thank you.
And you don't know until you know, man. It's one of those. It's like, I think I could, and then all of a sudden you get hit there, and it's like, mother. It's a bitch, but he looked great. The other guy that looked really good, you got to give credit. Sean Strickland at 185. Man, he looks good right now. Because Jotko's good. He's a tough dude. And Sean Strickland just marched him down the entire nice and relaxed, calm, composed, heard him, didn't jump in too much, just looked fantastic throughout that whole fight.
Yeah, Strickland looked good. He was just pushing down, pushing pace, and just touching, land hard shots. Touch, land hard shots. I thought he just fought a good fight. Jocko had some good moments, but there was never a moment where he was like taking control over the fight.
Yeah, it was just a beauty. I mean, that's the second one, and you got to figure his last fight was against Brendan Allen, and he made Brendan look bad, and we know Brendan's a good fighter. So right now, Sean Strickland, he's rolling. He's looking good. That motorcycle accident did him some good.
Some rest. He probably realized how important it is to just be dedicated to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes those life-altering experiences can make you have a different perspective on life.
All right. Did you see the Pinheiro versus Marcos fight?
No, I did not. That was right after the Kamaka fight. No.
Okay. First off, there was some just absolutely stellar judo throws being done in that fight. Just, you talk about taking someone's momentum and going with it. She threw Randa Marcos on her head multiple times, or, just it was gorgeous to watch. Now the fight ended with a DQ, and it was an up kick to a grounded fighter because she was on her knees when she got kicked to the face. Can the referee do it? Yeah, it was in the first round. The referee can do it. And again, do you think that she actually meant to do that? Do you think she was aiming at that? This is the problem, Josh, is it's like you're looking at a fighter and thinking that they have to do everything perfect and it's just going to be that way. It's like, think about, everybody out there. You're working at your job and you make a mistake, and because you make the mistake, you're instantly fired. That's what the DQ is like.
Yeah.
You got to be smart with this. There's reasons for a DQ. When someone does something that is malicious or is outside of the rule set, go back a long time ago, and I mean it's a long time ago. Frank Mir at the time was kind of hot in the UFC. He had won a couple in a row. And then he fights Wes Sims. You remember Wes Sims?
Yes, I do.
About 6'10". Yes. Came out of the Hammer House, And Wes Sims is getting, mauled by Frank, but Frank is not in shape for the fight because he felt like, I'm going to walk through this guy, because Wes wasn't known as the greatest fighter. He's a tough guy, but not the greatest skill set. And Frank gets tired, and all of a sudden Wes gets up and just decides, I think I'm just going to stomp your head.
Yes.
And that's what a disqualification is meant for. When you have a technique that's done in the cage that is a thing that, is happening all the time, someone being up or down, in a position, that's not what disqualifications are meant for. And it's just, I felt bad, for Randa, because she didn't mean to do it. She had just gotten poked in the eye earlier. You didn't disqualify Pinero for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to get poked in the eye, but if you kick, that's different. It's just use common sense.
I didn't see the fight because I was fucking the airplane internet sucked that I paid for. Fuck, so pissed. I was so mad. You know what made me more mad? The dude next to me didn't even pay for the internet.
He
was watching a basketball game on his fucking phone. I was so mad. Oh man. I was like, what? I tried on the ESPN app. I tried on my DirecTV app because it was on everything was on ESPN too, so I could watch it on my DirecTV app. Couldn't get either one of them to come up. I was pissed, man. Yeah. So from the Thai girl, whoever the Thai girl.
Oh, dude, is she fucking sharp?
So I watched her fight, and then after that, it dropped off until I saw Stamen. So I saw Merab and Stamen fight. That was it. Yeah, I missed all the fights in the middle there. It sucked. But yeah, she was good. She was tough. Like she had a really good push kick. She was beating up the legs. I have a question. Why are the girls not kicking the calves as much as the guys?
Because it's just that progression. I don't know. I can't tell you because
I
you just
have no
don't see it
idea
near
why.
the same.
I don't see it at all for the girls. And I'm like, I saw a little bit from one of the girls earlier tonight, but I don't see it. I don't know why are they not watching what the guys are doing? And the same thing goes for the guys. See what's working for the girls if there's something the girls are doing. But I think right now, because the guys, I think, have been a little bit more competitive, for a longer duration, in the sport itself, that the girls should be paying attention, the females, I should say, sorry, not girls. The females should be paying attention to what's going on. Like, hey, if the calf kick is working, let's get on it. Let's be drilling this in the gym. Let's use it in a fight. Let's see what the results are.
That's all coaching.
I don't know. I'm a little, yeah, that's true. That is coaching. Yeah. Coaching. I don't know why. I just haven't seen enough of it yet. But the Tiger girl, she has freaking nasty kicks. She was throwing almost some heat. She just does not have any boxing.
Beautiful sweeps.
Oh yes, that was very nice. She had that. She reminded me of Jermaine Geronimi. When Jermaine gets that like tie clinch, girls couldn't get out of it, man.
Yep.
I've seen some guys at AK couldn't get out of it. When Jermaine was training there, I was just still laugh at them. She would just devour their ribs. I loved it. But this girl had some she had some beautiful foot sweeps off of there. The way she was turning her opponent. Nice stuff. Yeah. All right, well, let's get in the main event.
Let's go, baby. I told you, man. Careful, Ajiri.
You told me. We were on the same page.
I know, man. He's one of those guys that's he's so different. And he's crazy. Yeah. Now, he's a super nice guy, but he's freaking crazy. And the way he fights is awkward, which makes it tough on his opponents, even though you think, to fight someone that's awkward makes it easier for you. No, it doesn't, because you're not used to seeing that. No. And all of what he does, and I've seen him dropped one time, and that was earlier on in his career against Mo Law. Mo Law hit him with a big time right hand and put him down and then finished him. But he hasn't lost since that fight. And going into this one, and I thought we talked about it. We both agreed this is not an easy comeback for Dominick Reyes. He is in for a hell of a tough fight against a guy he's the real deal, and he's got the mindset, he's got the confidence, he's got everything going for him right now. And if he gets that next shot, whoever it be, if it's Glover that takes the title from Jan or Jan holds on to it, either guy is going to want to face him, because he's on fire right now, and he's one of those guys that mentally you've got to put in your head, I'm just going to keep hitting you, and eventually you're going to fold.
I think Glover's got a better chance of beating him because Yuri on the ground is not as Glover's fucking just nasty. He's levels above everybody else right now in that division on the ground. Yeah. At least the ones that come to my mind right now as we're talking about it. Glover's just at a different level when it comes to the grappling. He has slowed down, so it's harder for him.
But his chin is not as good as it used to be.
And it's not as good as it used to be, but his boxing's still pretty good. He's just slow. He's slower, but Glover, man, I love the guy. I just ran into him recently at one of our last Bellators. Super nice guy.
One of the nicest human beings ever, man.
Absolutely. I'd love to see him win the championship, I mean, it would be nice to see him finish his career that way, with the title. But Yuri, I thought he fought a crazy wild fight like he always does, and people just don't know how to adjust to it. I was surprised that Dominick Reyes was in such good shape to continue to fight at that pace. And the amount of strikes he took, and when he was bleeding, I thought Dom was going to just totally wilt under pressure. It wasn't that at all.
Did not.
He just got caught with the elbow.
Oh.
It was a good fight up until that. It was a fucking back and forth. Yuri got hit with some nasty, hard shots that maybe we just looked past. A lot of people looked past, but no. Yuri got rocked. I want to say it was the end of the first or the beginning, like somewhere in the.
In the first round.
It was in the first round, right? He got rocked.
The first round, he got rocked.
You saw him take a step back.
Oh yeah, he got hit with a solid shot. He got hit with a couple of solid. That left hand touched him multiple times.
Yeah, you know what's funny about him is that he's one of those guys that one day he'll just keep winning and winning and winning, but then one day he's just gonna get starched and he's gonna end up like how Dominick Reyes did today, face down, ass up. That's how it's gonna end up. It's because it's like he leaves himself out of position all the time.
All the time.
Punches come from different angles. His hands are always down, and he dips his head left and right. But then again, here, I've been saying that shit about Dominic Cruz forever.
Yep.
And like I haven't seen Dom get starched like that. I don't know if anyone ever has. I can't think of it. No.
Nope.
So when we're having, I'm like, Yuri may just be like another bigger version of Dom with the dark, lighter hair and a really stupid man bun.
That was not a man bun.
Whatever. He couldn't get out of that guillotine because his freaking hair was stuck in it. So stupid, guys. Leave your trends at home when you're fighting. I was getting irritated just watching it because he could have popped his head out a lot sooner than that. He couldn't get his head out because his damn man bun was stuck. I was getting mad. I'm like, your stupid hair is keeping you in there. Oh, it's frustrating. It was so frustrating. If you notice, he shaved his head all the way back to where it was in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff drives me crazy, John.
I can't think of there's the video game character that's got that same thing, man.
Sagat.
Cool.
His name is Sagat from Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
He's got that. I mean, overall, though, I was really, up until the moment where he got knocked out, Reyes was impressing me as well. He was taking big shots. He was all bloodied up, and he was still fucking fighting. He was throwing.
Never stopped.
He was throwing some heat.
Yep.
I was like, wow. But what does that say, though? Like, what does that say that, like, John Jones couldn't put Reyes away? And you got guys like Yuri that did it. I mean, what's it called?
Blachowicz did it, and now Yuri did it
too. So now you've got two guys that have put him away. I mean, I feel bad for Reyes because he was here riding high off the fact that I should have beat John Jones. I should have got the decision. And now you've had 2 losses in a row and like bad losses. In terms of like their bad losses, what I mean by bad losses, they're bad losses because he got knocked out.
Yes.
You were performing.
And in both of them, he got his nose broken.
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, just nasty.
But he was fighting his ass off. You can't ask for anything more from a guy. You could tell that he was prepared. He was in shape. He was there to fight. He wasn't going to stop. That spinning elbow hit him perfect.
Yeah. How does Yuri do against Jan?
I think Yuri does very well against Jan. That's where I've thought in the past, Jan is really good with guys that are, very technically talented fighters. Guys like Israel, guys like Luke Rockhold. He does really well. Corey Anderson, guys that have that technical side where they do things the way you're kind of used to seeing. He does real well. You can go and start to look at it in some of the fights where guys are a little bit different. That's where things start to be slow down for him. And with Yuri's, he's odd, man, and you've got to get used to the odd. And it's not that Jan has got power; he can definitely put Yuri out. Ground game wise, they're both very similar, but Yuri's got that. He's just got that crazy. I'm just gonna be in here in your face pressuring you, and that's the real difference. How does Jan handle? Jan likes to pressure people. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the guy leading that dance. I think Yuri's gonna be the guy that leads it. Every time I've watched Yuri fight, he tries to lead the dance.
Yep.
And so it'll be Might be both guys just meeting in the middle and staying in the middle. I don't think so. I think eventually the pressure that Yuri brings, Jan's going to start being the guy that kind of backs off a little bit just to try to get his range and his space. So how well does he do with that going backwards? Because he's the forward-facing fighter. He likes to come forward. He fights better coming forward most of the time.
But the question is, can he handle the Polish power? Handle the Polish power.
There's Polish power and there's Czechoslovakian charisma.
Oh, you're gonna see.
Yuri's got it.
He leaves himself out of position so much.
Dude, he overextends on almost all of his shots.
Yeah,
Take a look at how out of position he is. But he does at times create great angles. He'll take a funky step and set himself up that the guy is and starts to freeze, and he's unloading a shot. He throws that damn uppercut from about 12 feet away at times.
I saw that.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
But it works for him.
Hey, tip my hat to him. Man, he had a great performance tonight. I thought both of them had great performances tonight.
They did. There was a great fight.
That fight stole the show. I thought the Stamen fight was good, and then you were saying one of the other fights was really good as well.
Kai Kamaka's fight. TJ and Kamaka, man, great fight.
Right, man. I'm so mad that I missed it. It pissed me off. All right, Dave, what else you got for us, man? Let's talk about some let's get into the news. Oh, wait, but first, let's
before
mybookie.ag, use the promo code weighing in. And John, what are they going to give us?
If you use the promo code weighing in, you will get extra money in your account, and that deposit could be up to $1,000 extra that you get just for being the guy that wants to win all kinds of money from my bookie. If you do that, my hat's off to you, because I can't. I lose.
Dave, let's jump into some news. What you got?
So the first piece of news being the stuff around Diego Sanchez basically getting cut from the UFC. So in summary, he released a video about the interaction he had with the UFC staff about the commentary on him, and then he basically like released a phone call about his medical requests.
Mm-hmm.
He had, his manager requested medicals. The UFC basically took that as like, is there something wrong? And then the UFC lost confidence that he was safe to fight because it was a retirement fight. Cut him from the canceled the fight with Donald Cerrone next week, and then cut him from the UFC. And then Diego comes out and pretty much says that this is their way of getting rid of him, so they don't have to take any of the blame for anything that he has to deal with years from now.
All right, well,
what do you think about that?
There's just it's so much shit, John. Like it's sad. It really is sad, but the reality is it's true. So let's just talk about his dumbass coach and friend, whatever his name is, Joshua something. Okay, that guy, he's a fucking moron. So what the rest of whatever else is done, I feel for Diego. I want everything to be good for Diego. Okay, and Diego would make some very good points. The UFC, because it is like we have talked about before, when we have the UFC is not going to reply to him. We've talked about it with what's his name, Spencer Fisher. Same thing. Like they just stopped picking up your calls. They're not going to pick up your call. Their doctors are not going to answer your calls anymore. You're not a current fighter. There's no relationship anymore. And so that is the one thing that if we are ever going to do a union for, it is for this. Because now it has become a duration where we're 25 years in, a little over 25 years now, and the UFC has been around. We're going to start seeing from the beginning portions, which we've already seen, but we just haven't come to the grips with it that there's a lot more fighters now. Before there was only 300 fighters on the rosters of these promotions. Now there's 400, now there's 500, now we're at 600 something fighters on the roster of the UFC. Now you're going to start seeing these fighters, especially the top ones that have been around for a long time. They're going to start wanting to come back and get some sort of medical help for everything that's going on with them. And it's not going to happen. So when we talk about like the Ali Act, I give two shits about the Ali Act. I care more about let's get some sort of insurance fund for the fighters after. That's what I care about. Some sort of retirement fund, some sort of insurance fund to make sure that they are taken care of after. That's all I care about. The fighters knew what they were getting themselves into to begin with. And Diego, like he said, He's like, you realize when my last fight ended, when this fight was going to end, and he knew that was going to be done, that they wouldn't pick up his phone calls anymore. And he's 100% correct. Don't expect Dana. Don't expect Sean Shelby. Don't expect anybody else that works for them to pick up his phone calls anymore. That's it. It's done. His career has run its path, and they know that, and they were ready. And the same thing goes for Cowboy Cerrone. The same thing goes for every other fighter that's ever fought for them. And I know it seems like this big, long rant that I'm going on, but the reality is that I know fans don't care, or they seem like they care, but they don't really care because they don't know the actual things that go on behind, like later on. They just think, oh, that guy's retired, he's done, now he's just bitter and wants to come back and get his money. No, a lot of these fighters are going to need help. And Diego, I mean, as much as I love Diego, I love watching him fight. You know, I didn't like him when he came out of The Ultimate Fighter, but I loved him as his career went on. I started to love him as a personality as well as a fighter. He's right though, John. He's absolutely right. These guys are not going to pick up his phone call. They're not going to talk to him. He's not going to get any help from them. It's done. It's over. They've cut him. They've released him. They've moved on. This Joshua Fabia guy, all he did was just speed it up. That's the reality. Like he's a moron. I mean, I just wish that I wish that he wasn't associated with Diego, but he is, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's a moron, you know. And you, like you said, when I was watching the video of him give his little speech to Paul Felder and to Megan O'Leary and them. Like, dude, it was all about you. That's it. Like John, like it was all about him. Yep. It had nothing to do with Diego. It was all about, me as a person, and to hear you say those things. Shut up, man. Like, make it about your fighter. Make it about him. And it was never about Diego. It was about him. He wanted the spotlight, and I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen with coaches at AKA. We've lost a lot of coaches out of AKA because all of a sudden they couldn't go in the cage, or all of a sudden they couldn't, like they didn't get invited to the fight to corner because they'd held mitts a couple times. They want that respect, and they feel like they deserve to be like in the limelight because they're working with a star. It doesn't work that way, man. The star is the star, and you are just the person that's doing the work to help them get there. I get it. Maybe you deserve a little bit more clout, but you'll get it with time with more than one star. That's the thing. And this guy, this is it. No, I can't imagine another fighter ever working with him ever.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen either. But it's a matter of, when you're looking at this entire thing, for all the people out there, and whether you liked Joshua Fabia or you don't like him, whether you're listening to the comments made by the UFC commentators at times about him, what you really need to look at is this. He's saying that he has changed Diego's career, and he's right. He has, because Diego was a certain type of fighter, and Diego was that junkyard dog. I'll take one to give one. I mean, go back and take a look at Diego's face after the Martin Kampmann fight. It was in Kentucky. Dave, if you could pull that fight up, take a look at they'll have a picture of his face. This is a guy that wins the fight. All right. He's got a cut over each eye. He's got a cut under each eye. He's got a mouse, underneath his eye. He's got a cut nose. He's got cut lips. And that was the Diego that people loved, because he was a guy that would go out and just fight to the end. Now, was it smart fighting at times? No. But when you're not gifted with an incredible, physicality by God, and you don't have God-given speed, because Diego was never that fast. He was a tough human being, a guy who would put up with a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain to try to deliver something so he could get a win. That's what Diego was. Greg Jackson being the guy that was his coach in the beginning, and then if you remember, Diego went off to Iberio.
Mm-hmm.
He went, and so you look at that little time, because Jande and Saulo, they worked with him. It was more Saulo than anyone, but he went off, and then he came back to Greg, and you can only do so much as a coach as far as giving guys technique, working on those techniques, but you can't make somebody something that they're not. You can't make a guy this slick boxer or slick striker when that's just not their body style. That's not the way they move. That's not the way that they can actually perform. You got to go with what they are. And Diego he's that freaking meat grinding, just battle axe that comes forward and goes after you. And that's why people loved him. Take a look at the fights he had. Take a look at like the Gil Melendez fight. That was Gil's only win, I think, in the UFC when he was in there. What a fight it was. That was in Texas, and it was just a barn burner. Baby is talking about, I've changed the way he's fight. Yeah, he hasn't won shit since you coached him. The only fight that he's won was one that he got hit with an illegal knee by Michael Pereira, and they DQ'd Pereira.
Yeah.
That's the only fight he's won with you. So, you're going to sit here and give us this big, long thing about, what you've done. Yes, you did change the way he's fighting. He's just not as good a fighter, and he's an older fighter. And I'm not saying that, a lot of people could have changed much of what he did, but, Diego is what he is. And I love Diego. He's a good person. He's always been that guy that was off on all these different things. But you get these people that all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the fighter starts to believe in them, and now they're around and they're doing things, and it's about them. And that's where this guy's bad, because it's never about you as the coach. It's not about Greg Jackson. It's not about Javier Mendez. It's not about, any of them. What happens when you're the trainer and you're a well-known trainer, if you're that guy that's, out there and you are, we'll say Greg Jackson or Mike Winklejohn, or you're Eric Nipsick, or any of the guys that are now being named. You're being named because the commentators, the Joe Rogans of the world, the Paul Felders, that work with Duke Rufus or something like that, they start to talk about you and what you can do and how you interact with fighters and how your teaching has helped them and things like that. And so people start to hear those names. So if you are doing something with fighters that gets them wins, eventually someone's going to talk about you and say, hey, this guy's doing something. That's why no one talks about you, dude. Or if they do talk about you, they say, man, I have no freaking clue what that guy is thinking right now.
Yeah. Because
you're not the guy, and it's not about you.
Well, that's why people talk about Krause. That's why people talk about Mike Brown.
Yeah.
It's about like we give those coaches tons of props.
Absolutely, and they deserve it.
Yeah, like I even started talking about King Mo, because King Mo he does such a great job with a lot of guys that he works with at ATT. So there's a lot of fighters that deserve, or fighters or coaches that deserve a lot of publicity. People like him, absolutely not. Those words will never, his name will never come out of my mouth, because I don't think he's ever going to work with another fighter ever again. So,
not a smart fighter.
Well, what else you got for us there, Dave?
Next piece was John Jones and Francis kind of exchanging on Twitter. So just potential indication that John might be ready to take this fight, but Francis came out and called him a decision fighter. John says, you pray you knock me out, because if you don't, I'm going to break you, and that's a promise. And then, John goes on, questioning the fact that he called him a decision fighter, calling Francis a one-trick pony. Yeah. So.
Look, we all know where they're both coming from. Okay, John is the better fighter. Okay, Francis has got the bigger power. John, he can go the distance. Francis has proven that going the distance is not really in his forte.
Yeah, hold it. He went the distance with Stipe for 5 rounds. He got beat.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't a very good fight after 2.
No,
and John, that's what John was pointing out. John was like, at least after 2, I don't get tired. That's kind of like, that was kind of the thing. And the same thing with the Derek Lewis fight. Like, it just, neither one of them threw, and it was really boring. But I'm saying, like, it wasn't a good fight. And so, like John was saying throughout these tweets, is that he's like, I can go the distance, I can knock you out, I can submit you, I can take you down. John's going through. He's like, technically John's the better fighter. Francis got the, like, I really believe Francis kind of is a one-trick pony. I'm not gonna see. You're not gonna see him submit John. You know, I mean, you can see him knock him out. Maybe if he dropped him and jumped on a guillotine, which I don't think he would do. You know, that's
I don't know. The one fight I did of Francis Ngannou, he submitted the man.
Oh,
just the fact.
Oh, I get it, John. I get it. But let's just be honest. I mean, Francis got a chance. I see in the first 2 rounds. After that, John, I think John kind of starts to run away with the fight.
Okay, I want you to think about this, though.
2.5. Go ahead.
I want you to think about this. Josh, you have got to fight Francis Ngannou or John Jones. Only one of them. You only got to fight one of them. Who's the guy that you pick?
Francis.
You would pick Francis.
Yep.
Why? Because you want to go to sleep early or have your head
I'd pick him twice. I'd pick him fucking every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Why?
I already know that fucking if I have all the skills that I had, even in my own career, if you put me in a big heavyweight body, I'd fuck Francis up.
I'm not saying you're in a heavyweight body.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, well, if I had hell no. I'm like,
no, you got to fight one of them.
Even at my small weight, I still fight Francis.
Oh, you're crazy, dude.
No, John can still knock me out. Have you not seen how big I am? John can still knock me out.
Not saying.
Either way, you get decapitated. What's the difference? John, though, if I jump on him, he's going to defend the takedown. He's going to fucking get to my back, and he could choke me too. He could smash me.
That's okay. It doesn't hurt.
That's ridiculous. Francis, let's just say we were fighting in a parking lot and Francis tripped on him, I could get to Francis's neck and choke him. John Jones, I couldn't do it. John would
Dude, you
defend.
couldn't even get your arm around Francis's neck. Let's just
whatever.
Honest, okay?
When I stick my fingers in his ear. You know what I was getting at.
I'm telling you, man. Fish hook him, dude. Fish hook him.
Yeah. If I had to pick, look, anytime that's the thing. Anybody that had any type of fight IQ, you want to fight the guy that only has 1 or 2 weapons versus the guy that has all those weapons.
Of course, but if you're gonna look at it and say John Jones is right up there, greatest of all time. So most skilled, most technically, sound, super high fight IQ, but he's not scary. Francis is scary. No, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Francis got that scary power, and that's the difference maker for him compared to John. John is skilled throughout, incredible skills. But Francis has got that equalizer. He's scary fucking powerful.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But if I had to pick someone to fight, I would pick Francis because I knew that it was a one-trick pony. Don't get me wrong. He's gotten better at stuff and takedowns. He proved that against Stipe. He's gotten better at circling to the back and, doing more damage. Mm-hmm. But if you can survive all that, then you've got a really good chance. Like Jim Carrey would say. So you're saying, I got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. With John Jones, I very rarely have seen him get tired. Sure, he's gotten tired, but he guts through it and he can get there. Francis has proven that he doesn't really gut through. He just kind of wilts under the pressure and just succumbs to just losing, after rounds 3, you know what I mean? But that was also against Stipe, which is a hard judge because Stipe's fucking really good, and Francis is really good as well. But if I'm going to have to pick someone, I would pick Francis because I just think there's always a way to beat him. At least there's a way to beat him. With John, where's the way to beat him really? You got to figure it out in that cage. You got to figure it out. John's fucking nasty on the feet. He's got great submissions. He's tall, long, and lanky. I know everyone in the comment section loves it when I say that.
But he's not real powerful.
He's not real powerful, but he hits you from everywhere.
But he's not real powerful.
But back elbows up, spinning back elbows, push kicks, thigh kicks. I mean, he'll take it to you. Guillotine against the fence.
But John in that fight, I agree with you, and I was just making a point, trying to be funny with it. But John, if there's one element that's going to be the one thing that's going to kind of set him off to the side in the heavyweight division, hopefully he picked up, and it could be that he actually picks up power by gaining that weight. There's guys that do. DC had a difference in power from light heavyweight to heavyweight. And John might be that same kind of guy where he all of a sudden develops some power, but he better, because if you can't hurt that heavyweight, they start to walk through a lot of your stuff. It becomes a lot different as far as the fight.
That's true. What else, Dave?
Next piece of news is Rumbo's opponent for Bellator, Yoel Romero.
Oh, I'm
obviously.
gonna cry.
We lost 3 really good fights on that. I mean, one side of them is still there. Lorenz Larkin now is fighting the former champion Cavallo, and so that should be a good fight. But Larkin going up to 85, fighting the former champion at 185. So that should be a good fight. And then with Rumble losing his opponent, obviously Yoel having some medical problems. It was never released on what it was, but I heard he could reapply for his license in the state of Connecticut within like another 2 months, is what they said. So I don't know what it means or what it was or whatever, but
Well, you got to figure there's HIPAA laws.
yeah,
Things that people can't put out there. I have heard something, but I can't put it out there. It's not right, and I'm not going to
you
do
weren't
it.
supposed to know anyways under HIPAA law.
I know that. But if I'm not saying it, then no one can say anything about it. So, and we'll see if that in the end things are better for him and he can reapply and come back at another time. But I feel bad for him. I really do, because he was prepared for this fight. From what I was told, he'd been training really well and things were going good for him. But
That sucks. I mean,
yeah, it does.
but who is AJ fighting now?
He is fighting. It's so many names. It's Gugu, man. It's the easiest one, but it's Jose Augusto Azevedo Barros is the name. He fought earlier against Jonathan Wilson in Bellator. He fought, I think, the same night that Patricio Pitbull fought Sanchez for the second time. So that was the championship fight. And then the featherweight tournament, he ended the fight with the arm triangle, but his stand-up is actually really good. I've watched just about all of his fights, and when he started fighting, he didn't know how to fight. He's a tough guy, but he didn't know how to fight. The techniques he was using and things he was doing, you go, no, that's bad. He then went and moved, not his family, only himself, because he couldn't afford it, to Natal to train with the Pitbull brothers. He hasn't lost since. They have trained him very well. He is a completely different fighter. He looks really good now. His stand-up is sharp. He's tough as hell, and he's going to need to be to fight AJ, because AJ right now looks good.
Yeah,
he's been training.
Yep. I talked to AJ the other day, and he's like, I said, how do you feel? He's like, I feel like a fucking beast. I'm like, but are you just telling me that? He's like, no. He's like, gosh. He's like, seriously. He's like, I feel like a savage. He's like, my sparring's been really damn good. He's like, I'm in really good shape. He's like, these guys in the gym, he's like, they've all been telling me, like, you don't seem like you've missed a beat from when you left. They're like, that they don't even know that they just, maybe it was like just the time off made them feel better to be rejuvenated. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line. I know that, and he's getting paid fucking pretty damn well. So on top of that, with the $1 million of winning the whole thing, I mean, I don't know. For me, I feel like now that to me, Yoel was the dark horse, because I want to see what he was going to do going up to 205. He didn't have to make weight. So how would he perform without having to cut weight? That's
20-pound difference is huge.
It's huge. And so in AJ's, kryptonite has always been the wrestlers. But Yoel doesn't use his wrestling, but he could utilize his wrestling with AJ. So it was like one of those things that was like so exciting to figure out, like, what was going to happen, how were they going to fight, But AJ, I'm sorry, man. He's just got the power, and he's got that fast twitch muscle too. He's quicker than people think, and he's on point. And his switch kick to the head that sets up the right hand, or it's just
watch for the right hand with the left kick high.
Yep.
He does it well.
Nice. Well, we're gonna see what happens though. That's all. Did that get bumped though to May 21st, or is it still?
No.
It's still May 7th. Okay, there was talk that they were gonna maybe bump it to May 21st.
Well, if you recall, in fact, in the last show 2 weeks ago, Julius Anglicus fought against Christ, I can't remember. From it was Rosenstruck's cousin, but Gregory Milliard.
Okay.
Fought him, and then after the win, Scott Coker said he is going to be the alternate in the light heavyweight World Grand Prix. So they offered him the fight, but you got to figure he fought 2 weeks ago, and I think he turned the fight down. So that's why in the end they brought in somebody else.
Sorry, buddy. Those type of opportunities to fight in the tournament, win $1 million, and then
I'm telling you,
you got to take them.
Yep.
Your career's not long enough. You're 29 years old. I know you're still kind of young, but you got to take those opportunities. That's an opportunity you're going to kick yourself in the ass for. I'm going to give somebody an opportunity. I'll talk to you guys about someone that had an opportunity. Paul Bonatello had the chance, instead of Fabricio Verdum, to fight Fedor Emelianenko. Didn't take it. Never heard from him again.
Yep.
Ended up losing his next fight. Gone. Done. Left strike force. They cut him basically. I think they let him go. All this other shit happened. Like, I know he's a friend of mine. I see him all the time. He lives in San Jose still. You know, he lives right down the road from me. But I never heard from him in terms of fighting ever again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like those type of moments, those type of opportunities, you gotta capitalize on them. You put yourself on the biggest stage in those type of moments and let people know that you're there. There's gonna be more people watching the semifinals and the finals of this thing than watching your next fight, dude. No one's gonna really care. Like, you need to watch they would have rather have watched you fight against AJ.
Yep,
You can't.
I agree.
$1 million on the line, dude.
The only thing we don't know if he got hurt in that fight. If there was something, you know, might have broke his hand or something like that. You go, all right.
Yeah, I'm taking the fight.
Yep. I still want to. Yeah, you have to. There's sometimes you got to go.
I hadn't been training at all. I was at a Warriors game, got a call to fight Kawajiri in Japan in 12 days. I was like, sign me up. The money's good. I'm on my way. I ran home, ran 5 miles, called Scott Coker. I said, I'm in.
Who did you call?
Scott. I called Scott Coker.
That's not the name you came up with.
I called Scott Coker. I said, yeah. I said, I called him up and said, hey, yep, I'm in. Because he called me while I was at the Warriors game. I was drinking beer and having chicken strips and fries.
Oh, there you go. That's health food. That's good stuff.
All right, so next piece of news, and we'll get into is UFC owner Ari Emanuel. He confused Zhang Weili or Weili Zhang for Chinese champion Li Na, and I know that he got some blowback for that.
Well, it doesn't help when you are the guy that owns the largest promotion in MMA, and you're, I guess you can say ex-champion, but just recently dethroned champion as of 2 weeks ago, and you don't know their name, and you basically tell in an interview somebody else's name, the name of a tennis player. That doesn't look real good. That's not someone that's up on the sport of MMA. Now, look, let's be honest about this. I hold nothing against Ari Emanuel as far as what he knows about fighting or the UFC. He's not in it for fighting. No. He's in it to make money. So it's understandable, but it just doesn't look good.
John, we've been around some rooms before, a lot of rooms, and some of the biggest wigs we've ever met, they have no idea what they're marketing and what they're doing, and that's not what they're there for. They're there to make sure that the promotion goes on and continues to make money, so these fighters have an opportunity to fight and make money themselves. So they're doing their part of the job, and the fighters are doing their part of the job. It is a little, I think it is a little embarrassing. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't get mad.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's why, let's be honest. This is the man that owns it. That's why Dana White is the face of it. Yep. Because Dana can know the names and Dana can do all that stuff. That way Ari doesn't have to. So
exactly. All right, what else?
Last thing that really came out from the news was I called up my boy Khabib and had him validate with Luke Rockhold that the Strike Force is a B League.
All right. So let me be very clear. Khabib, he's made almost all of his money in the UFC. Khabib is a company guy, and he will continue to be a company guy. He is not a company guy in terms of like when things happen like they did against Dylan Dennis and Connor. He's not a company guy in that way. What I am saying, he's always gonna say that the UFC is the best promotion because that's where he holds the title. That's smart. I'm not knocking him for that. But I want to remind Khabib, and I'm sure Khabib will listen to this because he has already told me a couple times that he listens to our show. Let's just be honest. Cain Velasquez came from Strikeforce. Okay, Tyra Woodley came from Strikeforce. Luke Rockwell came from Strikeforce. DC came from Strikeforce. Robbie Lawler came from Strikeforce. Sure, he was in the UFC.
Tim Kennedy.
Tim Kennedy.
Jacare.
Robbie Lawler left and came back. Okay, because they thought that he wasn't. Nick Diaz left and came back. Nate Diaz came from Strikeforce. All these guys originally were. There was more. There's a lot more. Okay, but I'm just getting tired of repeating them. Ronda Rousey, let me repeat to you. Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, all champions in the UFC. They were all fighters before they went there, and they went there and took over. Okay, so we can get into this all day long, but like you got to think, that's how long they bought Strikeforce in 2012. Like that's how long the Strikeforce has owned the UFC. Their fighters have. DC just retired. You know, Kane was their champion. Like all these fighters have come from there. Look, I get it, Khabib. I get it. You're your boys, you guys. I get it. This is what Khabib. This is what makes the wrestling room and the fight room so fun. Khabib wants to talk smack, and I love it. I love it about him because this is what they do. And then Islam does the same thing. You know, we all do it. DC does the same. DC's the worst. Okay, but this is what they do, and it's fun. You know, but the reality of it is that all those fighters that came from Strikeforce became champions over there, and then they were champions for a while. So, I mean, it's good though. It's good that he's doing that because that's what he's supposed to do. Because you want to know why? Because a lot of his guys are fighting in the UFC. Right, John. Tell me.
There you go. Yeah, you absolutely. Well, you get if you take a look at it, 170-pound class, 185-pound class, 205-pound class, heavyweight.
Yeah.
Four of their weight classes, Strikeforce.
Well, no, you got to count the women too.
Well, this is true. So at the time they only have bantamweight. So, yeah.
Well, you had Ronda and you had
Amanda Nunes, Strikeforce.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes and Strikeforce. So there's so many more. I can make a list for you guys. I mean, there's tons of them that were, even though they weren't champions in the UFC, but they were still right there at the top for a while. You know, and so I can go into it for a long time, but it's fun. It's fun. This is the shit that we would do around the gym, man. It's fun. Like the little banter and things in that. And Khabib, here's the thing though. Khabib can do it because he's 29-0. He can talk and he can do all these things. This is what he can do. He can do this because it's banter, and he is 29-0, and he was the champion in the UFC. So that's why. He got a little area there to talk. He's got some clout. He can talk. You know?
But it still hurts.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
I love it. It's all good, man. It's the way it's supposed to be. You gotta be able to dish it out and take it. That's the whole thing. Don't be one-sided.
Strikeforce. That's the thing. Khabib was like, I don't even know how. He was 19-0 or whatever. He was like 24 when I was cornering him. I was like 32. It's like he was still, I think, like the bear video of him. I was in the UFC when he was wrestling with bears. Okay, like, that's how old I am. You know. So when we're having this conversation, I'm laughing. I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, you were wrestling with bears at like 5 and 7 years old, right? Or however old you were.
Did you ever hear him talk about that though?
No.
Oh man, you got to listen to him talk about it because his dad pulls him and says go wrestle the bear, right? Yeah. So he starts wrestling the bear, and then the bear's biting him. He goes, the bear's biting me. He goes, bite him back. That's awesome.
All right, buddy. Well, what else?
No more news to go through on this week's show, but we'll do a fan Q&A for Monday, so make sure that you keep an eye on YouTube for the fan Q&A post that drops on Monday mornings, so that you can get your questions in there.
Sounds good. All right, John.
Sounds good. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Weighing In Podcast, the greatest podcast in the world when it comes to MMA. Maybe not in politics, maybe not for car racing, but for MMA, you are in the right place. So we will talk later. Joshua, see ya.
See ya.